Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders earlier broke major news about President Trump's summit with the North Korean dictator, Little Rocket Man Kim Jong-un, next week in Singapore. Take a listen.
I can tell you the president has been receiving daily briefings on North Korea from his national security team. And I can also tell you the schedule for tentatively for that first meeting will be on June 12th at 9 a.m. Singapore time and take place June 11th, 9 p.m. East Coast time.
No matter what you're called, is maximum pressure still the policy of the United States toward North Korea?
Our policy hasn't changed, and as the president stated, we have sanctions on. They're very powerful, and we would not take those sanctions off unless North Korea denuclearized.
All right, here with reaction is White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, who joins us. Sarah, good to see you. Thank you always for being back with us. So, from my perspective, this is really simple about North Korea. So far, we know that one nuclear test site is shut down. We know that he crossed the DMZ. He released 3 American hostages. He's willing to talk about denuclearization. And as far as I know, the United States and the president haven't paid a dime for any of that. True?
True. Look, the president has conceded nothing, and the sanctions that have been on place will continue to be in place. But as the president said on Friday, this is part of the discussion, and he looks forward to this meeting, and he thinks that it's going to be a very good and productive meeting, and it's going to be part of this process. But he certainly thinks that June 12th is going to be a good meeting, and he's certainly looking forward to doing that here in the next week.
You know, I think the president also is very smart in trying to manage expectations. Nothing is going to be signed next week, and this will go as fast or slow as North Korea wants. The sanctions remain in place. If there's another missile fired, we know that the president would then probably send our strike forces right back off the Korean Peninsula if need be. So it seems, especially when the president pulled out for a period, that he means what he says, and he is willing to walk away at any time.
100%. The president is extremely serious about this process, and ultimately he wants to see denuclearization of the peninsula. That's the top goal here, and that's what he's focused on doing. That's what the talks next week will center on. But he also knows that, as he said, this may take time. This may not happen over the course of one meeting, but several meetings. And this is the beginning of that dialogue, and the president is going to be committed and firm to it. And as he has said, we'll see what happens. But he has good feeling about how this first meeting will go.
Okay. An amazing thing is, and I understand how the media is, so the president has kept all of his promises on getting rid of burdensome regulation, largest tax cuts in American history. That promise is fulfilled. Moving the country towards energy independence. You could see the president's fighting on all issues regarding the border and the wall. I know it's 500 days in. Then he kept his word on Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, pulling out of the Iranian deal. Nobody really expected that. It started out as a little rocket man. This would happen. And I watch you every day, and I watched you today, and all the focus was, well, you told us in 2017 that the president had nothing to do with the comments of Don Jr., and I'm thinking, well, every report shows that what the president said, that the Magnitsky Act, or the fact that that meeting was all about, and all the emails prove it to be about, talking about adoption. That the fact is, at the end of that report is they told the truth. Isn't that the bigger picture that is missed tonight?
Certainly, that's one of the big things missed tonight. But I think the biggest story that's being missed tonight, and I saw it today in that room, they asked me 100 questions on the fake witch hunt that they have been fixated on for these last 500 days, but they forgot to mention the things that Americans actually care about, like the booming economy. We have the best economy since we've had since World War II, and they refuse to talk about that. The stock market is growing. People actually have jobs. People that need jobs and want jobs can get them. I mean, the fact that that wasn't something that was talked about, that wasn't brought up, that was totally ignored. The fact that ISIS is on the run and being defeated day after other day, and we're in a much better position than ever before when it comes to that battle. The fact that the president has completely remade the judiciary, the fact that we are becoming an energy independent and an energy dominant country under this president's leadership, they ignore all of the successes of this president, and it's to their detriment. And I think the American people have seen it, and that's why the media's numbers continue to tank and the president's numbers continue to go up.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, thanks for being with us.